You know when you think Galileo, right? Like it's bam-leaning tower, gravity, the whole deal.
It's an image that's stuck with us, huh?
Totally. But the thing is, there's so much more to him than that one experiment, true or not. So today, we're going deep, folks, beyond the textbook stuff into a full-on Galileo biography.
Oh, getting into the nitty-gritty. I like it. And let me tell you, this biography, it's a wild ride.
Lay it on me.
One thing that often gets missed is how much Galileo's dad, a musician, influenced his whole scientific journey, you know?
Hold on, Galileo's dad, musician, was he like some Renaissance rock star or something?
Maybe not a rock star, haha, but he was a revolutionary in the music world. Like, he went against the grain, challenged all these established musical theories. Experimentation was his jam, always searching for new ways to create harmonies, melodies, the works.
Okay, so picture young Galileo soaking all that up, right? What an environment to grow up in.
Exactly. It's like his foundation for questioning everything, for not just accepting the norm. It was laid right there in his childhood home.
So instead of inheriting, like, perfect pitch, Galileo got the question everything gene.
You could say that. And this insatiable curiosity led him down some fascinating paths. His father, practical guy that he was, wanted him to go into medicine.
Wait, imagine Galileo as a doctor. That's kind of wild to think about.
Right. But his heart just wasn't in it. He was drawn to bigger things. Math, mechanics, the beauty of logic in the works of Euclid and Archimedes. You can see their influence woven throughout his later discoveries.
And this is about the time we get that famous story about the chandelier, right? The
Okay.
one in the cathedral that got him thinking about pendulums.
Ah, yes. Classic Galileo. Picture him in this grand cathedral, right? And he sees a chandelier swinging. Now, most people, they wouldn't give it a second thought, right? But Galileo, he sees an opportunity for discovery.
Because of course he does.
He starts timing the swings with his pulse. Can you believe it? And through this, he realizes something amazing. No matter how big or small the swing, it always takes the same amount of time to complete a cycle.
Huh. I have to admit, I never really thought about that story much, but you're right. It really shows how differently he looked at the world.
It's like he had this knack for seeing the extraordinary hiding in plain sight. And that fascination with motion, with time, it becomes this recurring theme in his work. That simple observation in the cathedral was like the early spark for his groundbreaking work on the laws of motion, which, by the way, laid the foundation for Newton's later discoveries. Pretty cool, huh?
Talk about a ripple effect. It's amazing how these seemingly small moments can shape the course of history. And speaking of shaping history, we got to talk about that legendary Leaning Tower experiment. Okay, so the Leaning Tower, it's like Galileo's biggest hit, right?
It's definitely up there, but you know how some stories get a little embellished over time?
You're saying it might be more legend than fact.
The historical jury's still out on that one.
Yeah.
Did he really drop those spheres to prove Aristotle wrong? Maybe, maybe not. The evidence is a bit, shall we say, open to interpretation.
So it could just be a really good story someone cooked up along the way.
Possibly. But here's the thing. True or not, that story perfectly captures Galileo's whole approach to science.
Which was...
Don't take anyone's word for it, not even Aristotle's. Test it.
Right, because back then, it was just accepted truth that heavier objects fell faster. That's what Aristotle said, case closed.
And along comes Galileo going, hold my wine, I got to see this for myself.
I love that image of him. So gutsy, challenging centuries of accepted knowledge. It takes a certain kind of mind to do that.
He could have played it safe, going with the flow. But where's the fun in that, right? Galileo, he had this need to see things for himself, to experiment, to find the evidence.
He wasn't just out to prove other people wrong, was he?
No, it went deeper than that.
Yeah.
He wanted to understand how the universe actually worked.
And that drive to observe, to really see the mechanisms at play, that's what leads us to the telescope, right?
It does. But even with the telescopes, you got to give Galileo credit. He didn't invent it.
He didn't.
Nope. He just heard rumors about this newfangled device popping up around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
But he was smart, you see. He immediately understood the possibilities a tool like that presented.
The man was always ahead of the curve.
He was. And he wasn't content with just using the telescope either.
Yeah.
Oh no, Galileo had to tinker, refine the design, improve the lenses. He ended up with a telescope that could magnify objects 30 times larger than any before. 30!
Wow. That's mind-blowing, especially back then.
Imagine the things he must have seen. He built his own high-powered zoom lens for the cosmos. He pointed that thing at the moon, something that had always held such mystery for humanity.
What did he find?
He found imperfections.
Imperfections.
The moon wasn't this perfectly smooth, pristine sphere like everyone thought. Galileo, he saw craters, he saw mountains, he saw valleys.
He was seeing the moon not as some celestial object, but as a place with actual geography.
Exactly. Like our world. Completely alien. Can you imagine how shocking that must have been? Everything people thought they knew about the heavens, upended. And then he turns his telescope on Jupiter.
Oh boy, here we go.
And what does he see? Tiny points of light dancing around the planet Jupiter's moons.
That's a game changer right there.
Totally. Think about it. If those little lights are moons orbiting Jupiter, then maybe, just maybe, everything doesn't revolve around the Earth.
It really throws that whole Earth-centric model out the window.
Doesn't it? And then, to top it all off, he observes the phases of Venus. He noticed Venus went through phases just like our moon, waxing, waning, the whole 9 yards. And that single observation, it lent even more credence to the heliocentric model, the idea that we revolve around the sun.
And I'm sensing a but coming here.
Well, let's just say that promoting the sun-centered solar system, not exactly the best way to make friends and influence people, especially in the church.
So we've got Galileo, our astronomical rock star, but
Well,
he's rocking the boat a bit, yeah, challenging the church and all that.
Totally. You gotta remember, the church back then, major power player.
Yeah.
And they were all in on the earth-centered universe, divine truth. Yeah.
Right. So when Galileo's dropping his book, The Starry Messenger, laying out his observations, what's the reaction? Did they try to, like, shut him down right away?
It wasn't that cut and dry. At first, there was this, like, mix of awe and uh-oh. Galileo, he was kind of a big deal, you know. But as his support for a sun-centered system got more and more out there, well, let's just say the church started sending some not-so-subtle hints.
Like, hey, Galileo, maybe cool it on the whole sun thing.
Pretty much. 1616, they hit him with a formal warning. Stop promoting Copernicus, they said.
And did Galileo, lover of all things celestial truth, did he listen?
Come on, you know this story. Galileo, he was convinced. He'd seen it with his own eyes, right? But it was also a smart cookie. Knew he couldn't just go head-to-head with the church, not directly. What's he do? Plays a long game.
Ooh, sneaky. I like it.
Right. Bides his time, waits for the right moment to, shall we say, present his findings in a more diplomatic way.
And that brings us to the book that landed him in hot water. Dialogue concerning the two chief world systems.
That's the one. 1632, he publishes this bad boy. And get this, it's written like a conversation. 3 characters debating the whole Earth-centered versus sun-centered thing.
Okay, I mean, sounds kind of fair on the surface, right? Presenting both sides. So what's the problem?
Well, the problem was the character arguing for the Earth-centered view. Not exactly portrayed as the brightest star in the sky, let's say.
Oh, I see where this is going.
And some folks, they thought this character, the one who wasn't so bright, they thought he was supposed to be the Pope.
Oh no, Galileo, you did not just do that.
Yeah, not the best move for PR. The church. They were not amused. Heresy, they cried. Summoned him to Rome, 1633, to face the music. Inquisition style.
It's hard to even fathom that situation, right? On trial for your ideas. So what happened? Did he stand his ground?
Can you imagine the pressure? In the end, he cracked. Recanted his views, publicly said he was wrong about the whole sun-centered thing.
Man, that's just sad. To have to deny what you believe just to save your own skin.
A dark reminder of how much power the church wielded back then. But, and this is important, even under house arrest, which he got for his troubles, Galileo kept going, kept exploring, kept questioning. It's like this fire in him. It just wouldn't be put out.
Wait, so he's under house arrest and he still publishes more stuff. What a legend.
Right. 2 New Sciences. It came out in 1638. Groundbreaking work on motion on the strength of materials. This guy, while literally confined, lays the foundation for modern physics.
It's almost like being forced out of the spotlight, out of those debates. It gave him the space to make even bigger breakthroughs.
It's true. But sadly, his vision started failing towards the end. Still, he kept at it, dictating his work, his observations, everything. The man was unstoppable.
Galileo, what a story, huh? It's inspiring, it's tragic, makes you think.
He reminds us that progress, real discovery, it often comes at a price.
And that sometimes it's those who dare to see the world differently, even when it means going against the grain, who end up changing everything.
Absolutely. Galileo, he wasn't afraid to challenge the very way people understood the universe. And that's a powerful lesson for all of us, isn't it? To keep questioning, keep exploring, keep searching for the truth, no matter what.
No matter what. And on that note, we wrap up our deep dive into the life and legacy of Galileo Galilei. From falling objects to celestial wonders, this is one story that'll keep us pondering the cosmos and our place in it for a long time to come.